Mark talks all the time about when it comes to shooting, it's like one of the most variant elements in basketball. What are the controllable things that you guys are out there thinking about looking when you're looking for shots?
I think working for good ones. You're not going to make shots all the time. That's just the nature of the game. But just working to get good ones, doing the stuff that we did. We got a lot of good shots last night. Didn't make them. Not the reason we won or lost, or reason we lost. So, but yeah, I think just like the approach we have to finding shots and getting guys certain looks that they're good at and comfortable with.
You guys shot the ball particularly well just during the month of February. Are there any particular takeaways just from this recent stretch that you want to kind of carry forward for you all?
Yeah, I think we're working the possessions really good offensively. I think our defense has been really good. We're kind of forcing almost like one shot, come down, kind of get something in transition, which is kind of like the best time to score just because of our numbers. So I think we're able to work possessions in the half court as well. Stem from our defense, I think we did a really good job of that this month, and probably something that we're going to try and hold on to.
Doug, you talk about the variance on your end, but on the other end last night, obviously you're allowing the league's worst three-point shooting team to just get them up, and they make probably a number that you didn't expect them to. As it's happening, like how do you mentally adjust to the game plan not going to what you thought it would be?
It's basketball. Like we understand that's it. Our coaching staff and we have a lot of confidence in what they have. Analytically, that's like you say, they're not the best three-point shooting team, but they're NBA players. They're gonna hit shots, and they did that tonight. It's one of those games you kind of tip your hat, and even with all that, there was a lot of controllable stuff that we had. We were winning the game in the fourth quarter at one point, so kind of key takeaways from that is just being able to hold the lead, stuff that we've done well all year. But you're gonna have games like that. It's not something we're gonna panic about. There's probably a lot of games where teams thought they should have beat us this year too. So just kind of understanding that, being humble enough to just kind of turn the next page, and we played two really good teams coming up. So
You mentioned being up in the fourth. I think with about 4 minutes to go, you guys were down just three, and I think that was a possession. You kind of had a break. You kicked it to Dort. Dort had a three-point attempt. They called the timeout. It was never really close after that. Just what decisions do you remember down the stretch that maybe led to them pulling away? Anything like that?
We had some miscommunication on defense. I think Wemby got an open three right here by our bench. We didn't red up. He got another three. We're late on a coverage. I think Vassell hit a almost half court three with like 2 seconds left. Trey Jones hit a right wing three after we bottled him up for the whole possession. So it's basketball. That's why it's fun. But yeah, there's some controllable stuff in there. Like I said, we gave up a couple looks to guys that we didn't want to get threes. But I think a lot of it started first half. They were really comfortable. And I think when you give a team like that comfort early on, it kind of stems throughout the rest of the game.
It's funny you say it's fun. Is it fun, or is it like, damn it, that guy's not supposed to make that?
Probably both. Like I said, I think we respect everybody on the court. So, I don't really have a mindset of, he's not supposed to make that. He probably in the gym just like I am, as you guys saw, like, shooting right now. So you never really know what somebody's working on. So just kind of try and play the percentages of the NBA game. They're going to have games where they make shots like they did yesterday, and we're going to have shots or games where we miss. So I think just kind of those games, I think what we can do is take a lot and see what was in our control, and from there just kind of get better from that.
How much adjustment is there? Like in high school and college, sometimes if you lose a game, you play so few games that a game can just be like, oh God, we lost, that it feels like the end of the world. Here you have to move on so fast. Does it take some adjustment?
Yeah, some games suck more than others. But at the end of the day, you get to play again. So I think that's been the most enjoyable part. But yeah, you definitely have to turn the page pretty quick, especially when we're about to play the Suns and Lakers. So two good teams. We turn the page and kind of just go from there. But it's definitely different from college. Some of those losses can be really deflating. Like one loss there can really kind of change the whole outlook of your season. So I think it's a little better. We get to play 1,000 games, but. Yeah, just time to turn the page. Sit with it for a night and get ready to change the page tomorrow.
You guarded Wemby quite a bit yesterday, and you guarded those longer, lankier guys quite a bit this year. How do you prepare for guarding guys like that? Do you use Chet as an example, or is it just like watching a lot of film?
It's definitely a lot of film. The league is so talented now that I think Wemby's going to start to be like the norm as far as like players like lanky build, athletic, stuff like that. So, you try not to treat everybody the same, but take like some of the same principles, crawl into the ball a little more, kind of make it difficult for him to jump up, use my speed and strength, to kind of get him off his spots. And, I think I've been saying this, but, good players are going to make shots. It's just about how hard you make the shots and try not to let them get comfortable. But, I enjoy those matchups too.
So you think we'll see more Wemby's in the next few years is what I'm hearing?
Nah, Wemby's the one of, he's almost like a one-on-one. But I think just as far as like his build, you're going to see a lot more lanky wings and, lanky guards, guys that can handle it, his size. You're looking at Chet too. So I definitely think that's the way the NBA is moving towards. You can kind of just look at the NBA right now and the guys that are coming into the NBA now. So I think that'll probably change. But as far as his height, I don't think we've seen something like that.
Right, and that series with them, I know you try not to make it Chet, Wemby. The rest of the world probably does. When you zoom out as a basketball enjoyer, like what do you see as they go at each other like the way they did yesterday?
They're going at each other. That's basketball. That's how I grew up playing. Go at your matchup. So when you wide scope it, it definitely is really fun to kind of watch them two go at it. But when you're in the scope of the game, like we're not really paying attention to that. You know what I mean? Like we're playing and kind of just focused on winning the game however we can. And I think when you look back on it throughout this year, it'll be a really cool thing to kind of watch the highlights and be like, they're going at it.
Coach, as you look back on February, just kind of in aggregate, on the offensive side of the ball, you guys have been shooting the ball well all year long, but particularly in February and the shots you were able to generate. Is there any takeaways that you want from this month in particular and how you guys were able to shoot the ball?
It's just with the shooting, it's just, finding the best ones you can, laying off the ones that aren't great. I didn't think that was a strength last night. We took probably 12 shots last night that were, below average shots for us. We track that every game. Usually we're much better than that. And I think that drives the shooting success. Obviously, there's a lot of variance, but we try to control what we can.
When you talk about below average shots, is that just in terms of contestedness, in terms of the quality of it?
Contestedness, and then who's taking it based on the contestedness, the setup, whether it's catch and shoot, whether it's off the dribble. Not every shooter is created equally. So obviously, a three for Isaiah, almost any three he takes is high quality. And other guys, we try to educate on what the efficient ones are. And the guys have done a great job this year. We're one of the best teams in the league in terms of shooting open shots. So that speaks for itself. But we have to stay diligent with that so that we can get the best shots we can every time down.
Mark, we're about 4 minutes left. I know yesterday was back and forth, but we're about 4 minutes left or so. You guys were only down 3. I think that was right before their timeout. You guys kind of had a break with Dort and Dub. Dort had a transition 3, but after that, it was never really close again. Do you, now that you had time to digest the tape, like, are there decisions down the stretch that you remember that kind of helped them pull away or anything like that?
I thought down the stretch they made some big time shots. You got to tip your hat to them. We went and doubled Wembanyama on a play, and Jones made a 3. Wembanyama made a really deep 3. Another one that was pretty well contested. So credit them on the shot making down the stretch. I thought, if we were gonna try to do an autopsy on the game and figure out how we could have won it, there were some things early, especially, where I think they caught a little bit of a rhythm and got comfortable, where we were a little loose. And then I thought we gave really good energy for the second half of the game, but they were really sharp and they shot the ball really well and they outplayed us last night.
Process like in a game when your scouting report is sound, but they're not playing to it, like they're making shots that they just kind of don't make. Like how do you adapt to that? Because the rhythm they got in part right is they're making some shots that you don't mind them taking.
Yeah, they were 11 for 18 on those shots. Like I said, we tracked those, and so that's 11 threes. That are kind of tip your hat type plays. Which we acknowledge with the team. We tell the team when a team has a shooting night like that, it's part of the game, and we don't ignore that. But then we want to move past that and say, okay, what are the things that we could have controlled a little bit better? And there was plenty in the game there too. Obviously, it was a close game for much of it till the end. That could have gone either way, where a couple plays here or there maybe threw off their rhythm or could have gotten us another stop. We try to learn the lessons from that, but also turn the page and put it in the context of the shot making. That's always a part of every game.
Mark, you said 11 for 18 on those shots. I don't know how you guys track that, but is that between certain guys? Is that certain spots on the floor? Like what is that mix of 11 for 18?
I mean, we have. I think a lot of people have this, but we have advanced metrics on every single shooter. So, if you shot a corner three, we would have a expected percentage that we would expect you to shoot based on who you are, where you're shooting, how close the defender is, and so every shot gets a expected percentage, and then we can evaluate at the end of a game. What team shot relative to expectations, what we shot relative to expectations. To Paris's point, there's been plenty of times where, we outshot our expectation on a given night. And it just helps us to take a more clear-eyed view to the process of the game, so we're not always reacting to something that, like I said, could be very variant.
So just to be clear, this is kind of fascinating. So those are 18 shots you're comfortable. Like those are 18 shots you'd be comfortable they would not shoot a high percentage.
Those are 18 shots that we would say we expect that to be lower than a 34% shot based on who shot it, where they were, and where we were on defense.
Coach, you had mentioned Isaiah earlier, and just every shot he takes is a pretty quality shot. But when he has 3 dunks in a quarter like he did in the Houston game, just what's it like to have a shooter that's as adaptable and athletic on the offensive end as he is?
I mean, the thing that I always drive to when people ask about the shooting is his wholeness as a player. I mean, he's obviously an elite shooter, but he's a really, really good basketball player. So, he got a back cut last night. He takes cuts, he moves, he screens in. He had a play against Houston where he screened in, and I think he got Case in a 3 as a screener, and then he plays defense. He's a charge take. He took another charge last night. His nose is in the play there. He gets in the scrap on the glass. He executes coverages. He's where he's supposed to be. I mean, he's a really, really good, complete basketball player.
Seems like the starts for you guys physically hasn't been where you guys wanted. Is that just gotta come into the game more physical, or is there more to it?
I'd push back on that a little bit. I thought the home Houston game we started the way we want to start. I thought the 2 games right out of the break we started the way we want to start. At Houston, for sure, they were more physical than we were, and then we got that on the road. Last night, I don't know if it was a physicality thing. I just thought they were faster, sharper to start the game. And we tried to get it. We tried to get that thing under control. We took a lead in the 4th. I mean, I give the team credit for how we responded. You're not always going to start the way you want to start, but at the end of the day, that one caught up to us last night. They were just too good to beat them on that night with how we played.
Mark, you mentioned Vic making big plays. I don't know that in your series with him that he's had really a overwhelming kind of sequence like that. As it's unfolding, just what's your point of view? What are your thoughts? How much of that was maybe controllable, and how much of that was just him?
I mean, the shots, like the one, he took one really deep, he took one really contested. Those ones in a vacuum, you can't really do much about. It's just like you're there. An NBA player makes a shot. I mean, that happens every night on every game. From our standpoint on what we can control, I do think, rhythm plays a part in how a game unfolds. And that's where I think we missed an opportunity last night is, we allowed them to catch an early rhythm in that game. We allowed them to gain confidence inside the game. And then when they make tough plays in that context, you have to tip your hat to them, but you wonder what it would have been like if we had started the game tighter, and against Houston, we didn't start the game tight. We were able to get in the game at Houston, we were able to get the game in a good spot. Last night we couldn't, so it's a good lesson for us that sometimes you can turn the dial a little bit and still win a game. We don't want to just give up when we don't start well, but incentivize you to start well as well, because obviously last night was a game that we couldn't get back into.
When you say tighter, you mean like rotations and
every focus, urgency, awareness. I mean, it's really hard to earn a win. It takes a ton of effort and energy to earn a win. We've earned a lot of them this year, so it's a credit to our team. We're an every night team. I thought we played hard last night. We didn't start the game great, but we played hard. I mean, we competed, tried to win the game. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to string together 48, night after night, 82 times, so, but it's what's required if you want to go earn a win.
Mark, you guys force more turnovers than anybody in the league. At the same time, you have one of the best turnover differentials where you guys don't turn it over a lot, but you guys don't play conservatively. What's sort of the balance of that? Because you have a lot of higher octane younger guys who, don't seem to turn the ball over.
I think there's a lot to it. Some of it's individual players, and just their nature as players. Like Shea's never been a really high turnover guy. He's obviously high usage for us, so he uses a lot of possessions and doesn't turn over very much. That's huge. That's got a lot to do with it when you look at the whole picture. I also like to think that we are in familiar positions together, and that we've built a chemistry where we kind of know we can finish each other's sentences out there. And we're still developing that, but people don't feel the need to try to do too much, play in a crowd, force plays. I think it's oftentimes where turnovers come from, or there's miscommunications, from a chemistry standpoint. And so I think we've done a good job there. So some of it's the personnel, and some of it's how we've developed the team.
Well, a few times now, I know you're still trying to get Gordon acclimated, but a few times now you thrown out that lineup. I think it'll be like maybe Giddey's like the best initiator in the lineup. He's in there with him. You maybe got a few off-ball, like 3-and-D guys in there. Like, what are you hoping to see, not just from Gordon, but like from Josh and those lineups?
I just think in general, like I told you guys out of All-Star break, we can't allow the relative success going into All-Star break to bite into our aggressiveness with understanding what we have with the team, and also our aggressiveness to continue to develop the team and develop our players. And the more aggressive you are and the more exploratory you are, the more you're going to introduce failure, and the more you're going to introduce success. And we're willing to incur the setbacks to see what we can uncover with the team. And so that's not speaking specifically to that lineup, but just the overall mentality right now is one of aggression and exploring, and doing everything we can to, number one, learn everything we can through the 82 games about our team, and prepare every player for as many situations. We want everybody to be ready and confident and in rhythm as much as we can, and that's part of that too.
Rick Shea he's obviously a great player on the ball. Dub has gotten a lot better with the ball in his hands. Is there a balance of, do you want to give Josh some time with the ball in his hands because he's good at it, and then also you don't really want to take the ball out of those guys' hands, I assume?
Yeah, I wouldn't totally subscribe to the narrative that the ball's never in his hands. His usage is still over 20%. I think he's 22% usage or somewhere around there right now. So he's still using possessions. I think he's third on the team in usage. If he's not third, he's fourth. So I would push back a little bit on this, on the narrative that he doesn't have the ball. But that's why we want to be a team where the whole's better than the sum of the parts, where you're not allocating possessions to individual guys, where it's like Josh's turn this time, Shea's turn the next time, because then you get into that. We'd like to be a team where, we're playing in such a way that we leverage multiple handlers or multiple creators on a given possession. And that's not just limited to the high usage guys. That's, somebody creates an advantage, the ball comes out here to Case and Wallace, him being ready to do something with it. That's how you get a style of play where the ball gets ahead of the defense. That's the kind of team we want to be, and that includes Josh and every other player on the roster.